So I thought I would do a video about books that are cozy worlds to escape into, because don't we all want to escape into some cozy worlds right about now? I know I do. So these are some are newer books and some are older, and they are all just very magical and cozy, and some are witchy, some are not. I think most are witchy. Are they all witchy? They might all be witchy. All right, so the first one is one that I read really recently called The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst. And it follows the story of this character, Kayla, and her plant companion, Kaz. They worked in a library that was in this town called Elysium, and there is war coming to the door of the library. So they have been, for the past week or so, moving spell books that they figured were kind of important out onto these boats that are the library boats. And so at some point, the library's on fire, so they have to get out of there. And so they escape and they take these spell books. They're on the waters and they decide they're going to go to this island of Caltray. And Caltray is where Kayla originally grew up. And she thinks that she might just still have a house there, hopefully. So they get there and the dock by where she used to live is still there. It's kind of run down and rickety and it's missing boards and whatnot. But they tie up the boat, they get there, they go up, cottage is still there. It has walls and a roof, so we're doing all right. And so they get there and they pass out for the night. And so it's a story about how she integrates into the town, how they're going to make a living and how they're going to survive now that they had to leave everything that they've ever known. Her parents had passed away years prior. She decides that she's going to have a jam shop but also sell remedies. Not spells, remedies, because magic is illegal unless you're a big fancy sorcerer. And the reason she wants to have remedies is because her island where she grew up is kind of fallen into disrepair. The kids are scrawny, the cats are scrawny, the fruit trees are dying, the springs are drying up. And they used to have sorcerers sent out by the emperor to like fix all that stuff, but he stopped giving a crap and no one has come in years, and so it's all starting to fall apart. So she decides she's going to help them, and it's a story of that, and it's so sweet and cozy and rosy and nosy. There is a bakery in town that has all the good smells and yummy treats and all that stuff, and it's super cute, and I loved it. All right, our next cozy read is The Crescent Moon Tea Room by Stacy Savinsky, and this is a story that follows three witchy sisters who own a tea room called the Crescent Moon Tea Room. So ever since the untimely death of their parents, Anne, Beatrix, and Violet Quigley have made the business of threading together the stories that rest in the swirls of ginger, cloves, and cardamom that lie at the bottom of their customers' cups. So they read tea leaves. Their days at the tea shop are filled with the talk of butterflies and good fortune, intertwined with the sound of cinnamon shortbread being snapped by laced fingers. That is, until the Council of Witches comes calling with news that the city's diviner has lost her powers, and the sisters suddenly find themselves being pulled in different directions. As Anne's magic begins to develop beyond that of her sisters, Beatrix's writing attracts the attention of a publisher, and Violet is enchanted by the song of the circus, and perhaps a mischievous trapeze artist threatening to sweep her off her feet. It seems a family curse that threatens to separate the sisters is taking effect. With dwindling time to rewrite their future and help the three other witches challenge their own destinies, the Quigleys set out to bargain with fate. But in focusing so closely on saving each other, will they lose sight of themselves? And so the council, when they come, they're like, you have to help these three witches discover like what their task is. So when you're a witch, if you don't complete your life task, then you spend eternity caught somewhere in betwixt and between as like a ghost. You don't get to go on from this realm. So it's important that witches finish their tasks. And this is not something you would usually just pass off to anyone because the council wants them to fail. So do they fail? I don't know. You have to read the book to find out. And it's super cute and cozy, and I loved it. This came out at the end of last year, so it's still pretty recently new. After that one, if you guys have not read the book Cackle by Rachel Harrison, it is so cozy and cute and witchy and just adorable. I absolutely love that book. I have a standalone review for that as well. So if you want a little more than what I'm going to tell you about it, because it's going to be a lot shorter in this video, I'll have the link to that down below in the darkness. Okay, so Cackle. All her life, Annie has played it nice and safe. After being unceremoniously dumped by her longtime boyfriend, Annie seeks a fresh start. She accepts a teaching position that moves her from Manhattan to a small village upstate, which the village upstate that she ends up moving to is obnoxiously cute. So she's stunned by how perfect and picturesque this town is. The people are all friendly and warm. Her new apartment is dreamy too, minus the oddly persistent spider infestation. Then Annie meets Sophie. Beautiful, charming, magnetic Sophie, who takes a special interest in Annie, who wants to be her new friend. More importantly, she wants Annie to stop apologizing and start living for herself. That's how Sophie lives. Annie can't help but gravitate toward the self possessed Sophie, wanting to spend more and more time with her, despite the fact that the rest of the townsfolk seem a little afraid of her. And, like, okay, there are some things. Sophie's appearance is uncanny and ageless. Her mansion in the middle of the woods feels a little unearthly, might be haunted, and she does seem to wield a certain power, but she couldn't be, could she? Well, the book's called Cackle, of course she could be. Anyways, it's adorable, it's cute. If you like Rachel Harrison, this book's fan-frickin-tastic. It might be my favorite Rachel Harrison book, to be honest. I've only read three. I have liked them all. Those are that I've read. I've read Such Sharp Teeth, and I read So Thirsty and Cackle. And honestly, I think Cackle's my favorite. Such Sharp Teeth, probably second favorite. Okay, so after that, our next cozy loveliness is the book Garden Spells by Sarah Addison Allen. This is about the Waverley sisters. The Waverleys have always been a curious family, endowed with peculiar gifts that make them outsiders, even in their hometown of Bascom, North Carolina. Even their garden has a reputation, famous for its feisty apple tree that bears prophetic fruit and its edible flowers imbued with special powers. Generations of Waverleys tended the garden. Their history was in the soil, but so were their futures. A successful caterer, Clara Waverley prepares dishes made with her mystical plants, from the nasturtiums that aid in keeping secrets and the pansies that make the children thoughtful, to the snapdragons intended to discourage the attentions of her amorous neighbor. Meanwhile, her elderly cousin, Avenel, is known for distributing unexpected gifts whose uses become uncannily clear. And they are the last of the Waverleys, except for Claire's rebellious sister, Sydney, who fled Bascom the moment she could, abandoning Claire as her own mother had years before. When Sydney suddenly arrives home with a young daughter of her own, Claire's quiet life is turned upside down. Along with the productive boundary she is so carefully constructed around her heart. Together again in the house they grew up in, Sydney takes stock of what she left behind as Claire struggles to heal the wounds of the past, and soon the sisters realize they must deal with their common legacy if they are ever to feel at home in Bascom and with each other. And this book is super cute. It has delicious food descriptions. It's a cute romance, and it's just a very heartfelt and lovely book. It also has another book after this one that's called First Frost that's also pretty awesome. And I don't know if there's a third, if there's going to be a third book or not. Right now, I think there's just two. Maybe there'll be more. But Sarah Addison Allen writes like super cozy, cute books and has a bunch of different ones. And they're great. Okay, so another cozy book that I absolutely love that was super cute and witchy is The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandana. Let me tell you about it. As one of the few witches in Britain, Micah Moon knows that she has to hide her magic. Keep her head down, stay away from other witches so their powers don't mingle, draw attention. And as an orphan who lost her parents at a young age and was raised by strangers, she's used to being alone and she follows the rules, with one exception. She has an online account where she posts videos pretending to be a witch. She thinks no one will take it seriously, but someone does. Well, of course they do. An unexpected message arrives, begging her to travel to the remote and mysterious Nowhere House to teach three young witches how to control their magic. Breaks all the rules, but Micah goes anyway, and is immediately tangled up in the lives and the secrets of not only her three charges, but also an absent archaeologist, a retired actor, two long-suffering caretakers, and Jamie the Grumpus. He's grumpy. The handsome and prickly librarian of Nowhere House, who would do anything to protect the children. And as far as he's concerned, a stranger like Micah is a threat, an irritatingly appealing threat. You know, with cozy books come romance, right? So it's always like the grumpy guy, grumpy guy. They don't like each other at first, but they do. As Micah begins to find her place in Nowhere House, the thought of belonging somewhere begins to feel like a real possibility. But magic isn't the only danger in the world, and when peril comes knocking on the door, Micah will need to decide whether to risk everything to protect a found family she didn't know she was looking for. Okay, up next is I'm gonna recommend the first book, but it's actually a trilogy, and the third book I think is due out like any day now. And that is the Emily Wilde series by Heather Fawcett. It is, well, the first book is called The Encyclopedia of Fairies, or Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. It's super magical and cute and whimsical and dark, but it's cozy. And the first two books are awesome. I don't know what the third book is like yet because obviously I don't think it's out. Maybe it's out. I haven't read it yet, but I definitely plan to. So let me tell you about the first one. Cambridge professor Emily Wilde is good at many things. She is the foremost expert on the study of fairies. She is a genius scholar and a meticulous researcher who is writing the world's first encyclopedia of fairies lore. But Emily Wilde is not good at people. Like, she's awful at people. I mean, real bad. Awkward AF. She could never make small talk at a party or even get invited to a party. And she prefers the company of her books, her dog Shadow, and the fair folk to other people. So when she arrives in the hardscrabble village of, I do not know how to say this, Kraftsvik, don't make fun of me. Anyways, Emily has no intention of befriending the gruff townsfolk, nor does she care to spend time with another new arrival, her dashing and insufferably handsome academic rival, Wendell Bamblebee, who manages to charm the townsfolk, muddle Emily's research, and utterly confound and frustrate her. But as Emily gets closer and closer to uncovering the secrets of the Hidden Ones, the most elusive of all fairies, lurking in the shadowy forest outside the town, she also finds herself on the trail of another mystery. Who is Wendell Bamblebee, and what does he really want? To find the answer, she'll have to unlock the greatest mystery of all, her own heart. And it's super cute, and I love it. I love all these books. They're adorable and cozy and the best of worlds to escape into. All right, and then we have one more, and that is the House Witch series by Delamac. I read the first book and I loved it, and there's like two other books that I never ended up picking up, which I need to pick up because I love the first book. I don't know why I didn't continue reading the series. We get distracted by so many different books. Booktube, it's hard not to. So at some point, I do plan to read the rest of the books in the series, but I really liked the first one. So I can only recommend the first one. All right, let me tell you a little bit about the House Witch. When Finley Ashwin joins the staff of the King and Queen of Daxaria, he's an enigma. No one knows where he comes from or how he came to where he is, which suits Finn just fine. He is satisfied simply serving as the royal cook, keeping nosy passerby out of his kitchen and concocting some truly uncanny meals. But that's me, not Finn. But Finn's secret identity doesn't stay hidden for long. After all, it's not every day a house witch and his kitten familiar, Kraken, take to meddling in imperial affairs. As his powers are gradually discovered by the court, Finn finds himself involved in a slew of intrigues, going head to head with the knights with less than chivalrous intentions, helping to protect the pregnant queen, fending off the ire of the royal mage, and uncovering a spy in the castle. That's only the beginning, because Finn's past is catching up with him just as his love life is getting complicated. Filled with fascinating characters, courtly intrigue, political machinations, delicious cuisines. You must not forget the delicious cuisines because there is a lot in this. Cuddly companions, magical hijinks, and will they, won't they romance. The House Witch is the first in a captivating new series, guaranteed to satisfy the taste of any reader. I need to like kick my own butt and get the other two books in the series and read them because I did love this book. I don't know why I haven't. So most of these are witchy, I have noticed, minus the one that's about fairies. I think the rest of them are all witchy. Those are my favorite types of cozy books. If you like cozy books and are looking for a just lovely magical world to escape into, any one of these books, I would highly recommend. Now, I was also excited to do this video and not mention Legends and Lattes because for like 2 years I just blathered on and on about that book. But now I mentioned it, so maybe I'll just edit this out of the video, this part. I don't know. Maybe I'll keep it in. We'll see. So my favorite, though, out of all of these, oh, it's so hard to choose. It's got to be a tie between The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst and Cackle by Rachel Harrison. But honestly, they're all fantastic. I hope one of these or some of these jump out at you, and if you read them, let me know. And also, if you have any cozy fantasy suggestions of books that you really like, let me know down in the comments because I'm always looking for more cozy worlds to escape into. If you are a fan of videos where I talk about multiple books I am reading or have read, the next video coming up will be about that. So stick around, check it out. And if you enjoyed hanging out today, hit that subscribe button, come back, see me again, and we'll talk about more bookish things and weird stuff.